So I've seen the movie. It's really, really great. I thought. What do you think is the secret of a great relationship? Like knowing the person you're with, or knowing yourself actually, or.
I mean, both. It's a really good question. I think ultimately it's more important to know yourself very well. And that's what we see in this movie is at the start of the movie, two people really trying to pretend to be someone that they're not. And they're unable to form any real relationships while they're so guarded and trying to be something that just does not come naturally to them. And through their friendship and their relationship together, because it's not sexual, I think they really learn to let their guard down, learn to love themselves, and believe that they themselves are worthy of love. And I think that is probably one of the most important things. But you have to know yourself first, and you have to know how to fulfill yourself first. And I think that is the other thing about this movie, is that they don't really save each other, but they learn from each other how to save themselves.
Yeah. What did you prefer about shooting the movie and shooting with Jason Sudeikis?
It was so fun to shoot with him. Jason Sudeikis is the best. He's so charming, and he's so funny, and he's really smart. So he has a lot of ideas constantly about the scenes. It was a very collaborative experience. Our director, Leslie Headland, who also wrote the script, is incredible, and she's very collaborative as well, very flexible. So it was fun. It was, we had to establish a level of intimacy with each other quite quickly, and Jason just makes everything very comfortable and easy, and we all sort of jumped right into having very candid conversations about our own relationships that we had been in and our sex lives and things like that, and I think that kind of added some levity to the process.
This year you achieved many projects. You lived the end of Community and Mad Men, which I loved really.
Thank you.
And you also had the release of Get Hard and Sleeping with Other People. So what do you plan next, and how do you live all of that this crazy year?
Well, I've just been very lucky. Everything is a dream come true, It's sad to see the shows end, but also I think they got to end in really great ways, especially with Mad Men. Knowing that it was going to be the final season, going into it, the writers could write it exactly as they wanted to, and I felt so fortunate just to be involved in the final season and have a great happy ending for Trudy, which was extraordinary. Yeah. And the same with Community. It's always so fun to work on that show. We've had a lot of ups and downs, so we got to kind of, who knows what the future holds for that show, if there would be a movie or what, but in the meantime, I think it was nice to have a solid farewell for those characters, if it should be the end. I have, coming up, I take a step back onto the other side of the camera, and I executive produced a show called Teachers. Cool. That I hope that it ends up coming here in the United States. It will start airing in January. Okay. But that was a really fun thing to be a part of, just to see a different side of the business and kind of help cultivate other comedic voices. It stars 6 women who they have an improv group. They had an improv group based out of Chicago. Okay. And they had made this web series called Teachers, so you can find it online, short little episodes called Teachers, and they're so funny, and so they all work as executive producers on the show as well, and they write the material, and they star on the show, and they created the show, and it's very empowering as a woman to empower other women, and just to be part of a show like that I think is pretty groundbreaking in comedy, to have a writer's room that's almost exclusively women. Except for our 2 showrunners who are men. And they're wonderful. But so there's that, and I shot another romantic comedy in New York just this past summer called How to Be Single with Dakota Johnson and Rebel Wilson and Leslie Mann, which was very fun. A different type of comedy from this one. It's a much bigger ensemble, and it sort of follows a lot of different intersecting storylines about these characters trying to navigate the single world.
Yeah, okay. You also gave your voice to Unikitty in the Lego movie and to various characters in BoJack Horseman.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you like, well, obviously you like animation, but do you want to go further in animation, or to do it more?
Yes, definitely. Voiceover work, it's a weird thing for me because it's not something that I set out to do specifically, which some people do and really cultivate that instrument and that part of their career. And I sort of, the projects as I got involved in voiceover work, it was something always that I just fell into. It was just, someone would ask me to be on Robot Chicken or a series American Dad or things like that. And same with Unikitty, it kind of just came my way. So, like as with life, I like to kind of just say yes to most opportunities, and then they turn out to be great ones. And I love working on BoJack Horseman. I think that series is so creative and interesting, and I love that it has a darkness to it. For a comedy, it's so interesting. And every time I go to record episodes, there's some new challenge. They ask me to do some new character, which is always kind of exciting to learn. Am I capable of creating a new character right now in this moment? I have to. There it is. So that's always kind of exciting. I would love to do more voiceover work. I'm sure I'll be involved in the Lego Movie sequel.
I hope.
So that would be fun. And otherwise, I mean, it's a great job because you get to, when you're doing anything live action, you can create very different characters, but they always are going to look pretty similar to you. And when you're voicing animated characters, they can be anything. They can be a half kitten, half unicorn made out of Legos. So it's kind of like the sky's the limit, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I think you're really great in voiceover. What's the best advice you could give to a young couple who's starting to date, and in the moment where it's awkward and you don't know if you should say this or that?
Right. I think that it's important to stay true to yourself and to be honest with each other. I've never been a big fan of playing games. People think, how long should I wait to text back? And I just think, don't wait. If you like someone, you should just tell them. It seems scary, but I think it's better in the long run. You're never going to run out of love to give, I think. So it's best to put yourself out there, and even if it doesn't work out and maybe you do get hurt and you get a little sad, but you learn something about yourself and you learn something about the type of person that you want to be with, and then you can use that in the future. So I think it is important to really put yourself out there. It's terrible to hide your feelings and to miss an opportunity. I think that's something you would regret more than telling someone that you like them and having them be like, get out of here. That's a fleeting moment, and then you go, oh, maybe I didn't like that person so much anyway. That's how they really are.
Yeah, that's something we can really see in sleeping with other people. That's something I liked, especially because I thought, that's what I learned like 3 years ago when I met my boyfriends. I really like that part.
Thank you. You see that it's something that the characters struggle with early on in the movie, and it creates really unhealthy relationships.
Yes, that's it. You play really cool characters, and I want to know which one inspired you the most, and which characters you played, but also which characters in movies in general inspired you in your life. And
yes, gosh, they've all been. I mean, Trudy is an amazing character, and because that was my first big television role or acting role in general in film and TV, and I think she'll always stand out to me as like an amazing character. She really evolved over 7 seasons and it was such an interesting, especially to play someone of a different time. It was a great experience. I feel like I learned a lot from Trudy as well. This character in this movie also I really loved, and I felt like it was a bit closer to me and to my personal experiences than any character I had played previously, and in that way it was really fulfilling. I think probably to just sort of play out those emotions and use personal experiences. It feels very cathartic. In terms of characters, I just made a list recently of all of some of my favorite movies, and I realized that they all had strong female protagonists, which I didn't even make that connection before. I just go, oh, these are all movies that I really love. So some characters that I really love are I do love Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally, which that's a lot of conversation.
That's my favorite.
It's so comedy. Good. It's such a great romantic comedy, and her performance in it, her whole character, she can be bubbly and very cute, but she also has some great moments. There's a moment where she's describing her breakup with her boyfriend, and she's talking about being with a child and seeing a family, a husband and a wife and a small child, and just the emotion. You know, I think she's great at towing that line of she has a great crying scene with Billy Crystal, but it's really funny, but you can tell she's really feeling those emotions. So playing the emotions for comedy, I always thought that was really interesting. I also love Alien is one of my favorite movies, and I love Sigourney Weaver's character in that. Such a badass and such a cool movie.
Yes.
Annette Bening in The American President is one of my favorite all-time roles, especially when we're talking about romantic comedy. She's such a great actress. She's so specific.
Yeah.
Everything she does, you just is so rich. You can tell what she's thinking, and little moves. There's a move she does in one scene with her pen where she's kind of tapping the pen on the table and talking to people, and then she realizes she's doing it. She knocks over a whole thing of pens, but it seems so organic. I'm sure she worked out that move, you know, and kind of had it ready to go, and it's so funny. You'd think it was spur of the moment idea. I also love Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs. I feel like that is a really interesting performance.
They are really great characters. I'm a big fan of romantic comedies. Is that a kind of movie you'd like to do more in the future?
I love romantic comedies, and at this point, I've done quite a few of them, even though some may never see the light of day. I do a lot of independent movies that may never come out. But, you know, I just shot another one. I would love to continue working in comedy and romantic comedy, but I also would like to branch out a little bit, since I feel like romantic comedies, it tends to be what comes my way most often. Yeah. And I'm very comfortable in the genre, and I do love it. It's when I think about movies that are my favorite movies, you know, the list goes on, but when I think about movies that I will watch again and again and again, anytime they're on TV, they're almost all romantic comedies.
That's all, I think.
Oh, great. Well, good job.
Thank you.